The Spanish Announce Table.
It is episode 393 of the Spanish Announce Table. Can't even talk because I'm so excited that it is the 9-year anniversary for the pair of 9-inchers here. You've got Tim and Tom of the Spanish Announce Table. You might have to rewind that if you didn't catch that. But we're excited. Tom, I didn't think you'd stand to be friends with me this long, so that's one thing. And then two, the show, right, that we're still sitting here discussing all things pro wrestling, and maybe not all things, but most things pro wrestling in the mainstream. Yeah. And boy, there's some doozies. I mean, we've got some big
we got
news
one of the biggest news in pro wrestling history. First off, I didn't know that we were friends, so that's news to me. And second, yeah, we've been talking pro wrestling. Think about all the different technological advancements that has happened in the last 9 years. We went from doing this in a radio station to now doing this at home over Zoom. There's been the advancements of things like TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and all of these amazing things that where now we can interact more and more with our fan base. And it has been so much fun. I have met so many great people because, again, the origin story, besides you being the producer of the MMA show that I was on, you were part of another pro wrestling community before Spanish Announce Table.
Yep.
And I have actually got to meet some of those people. Yep. And some of those people still interact with us today. So look at that.
Which is insane, right? Yeah. Wrestling, aside from the Spanish Announce Table, because, I mean, we do it because of pro wrestling. I have met countless people, from around the world. I mean, we're interacting with a celebrity from London who's shooting a movie in the States, and Adam Pearson, all because of pro wrestling, right?
Love it.
And then, we're doing the show for 9 years, and we've said this a couple times, but this time I think is true and won't be beaten for a while. This is the absolute, hands down, biggest news story we've ever covered in the history of the Spanish Announce Table.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to start? I mean, you do this better than I do.
Okay.
You present it better than I do. I'll react, and then we'll continue, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Here, let's see if I even have. Do I even have?
I'm going to jump the gun, Tim. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
So, Tim, the biggest news story in Spanish Announce Table history, the 9-year mark. We have it now. Hook has became your FTW champion in under 20 matches. Who would have thought? Who would have thought this meteoric rise from son of a legend to having Chip's backstage segments with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs to now taking over the world of pro wrestling and becoming your FTW champion? There was also the news that Vince McMahon has resigned, but Hook is your FTW champion. Cannot believe it. It's astounding. And Tim, we will be getting to.
Well,
Hook.
I mean, I forgot that Vince McMahon retired, but Hook.
Yeah.
Hook.
I cannot believe it. So let's look, we're going to recap AEW Dynamite.
Hook!
So let's talk about Hook during that time, right?
Okay,
so we'll give
patience.
We'll give it its due reaction. Let's talk about Vince McMahon leaving the WWE. So whatever. Vince McMahon left the WWE. Tim, I want to first get your look at this. I already got the picture of what's going to happen to him next. He's going to jail. Tim, I want to get your reaction first, and then I'll share with you what I thought.
Once again, Tom was referencing his shirt, so I say once again because if you're not watching live when we do these shows on Thursdays, normally it's been a little later than this. We're going a little earlier this week, giving that a try. But we live stream this show Thursday nights. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, simul streaming. So join us. You can chat with us live. We hope anybody watching live right now will join in and talk to us as we go. But I mean, this is crazy. This is the biggest news in the history of the Spanish Announce Table. I know we were tongue in cheek, Hook's up there.
It's Hook.
It's Hook. Man, okay. So look, this has been a discussion wrestling wide, right? When is McMahon going to be out of power? And I think you had the Vince McMahon's going to die folks, right? And then other people just being like, I mean, he might just be too old, and at some point they might kind of force him out. I don't know why we'd never discussed this idea, because Vince McMahon was clearly this kind of guy, right? So why we never discussed the Vince McMahon goes down in a shame of glory, right? Like, kind of moment, right? So here he is. We've been talking about a couple of weeks. He gets exposed for, basic sexual assaults, sexual harassments, and payoffs for that. But WWE apparently uncovered in their own investigation that this was money that was not just Vince McMahon's, was WWE's money, and thus should have been reported as expenses, and they've got to re-release like 4 to 5 years worth of company records, which is not cool, right? Like anybody who knows anything about stocks and investments, like, not a good thing. So this idea that Vince McMahon retired is false. Vince McMahon is fired.
Yes, 100%. And that's the thing. I don't think if you were to list the reasons of why Vince would be forced out of the company, I think everyone would have had this in their top 10, right?
Sure.
Messed around and got caught doing stupid stuff.
If we said,
right?
what are the reasons Vince McMahon might get kicked out? Yeah, sexual harassment is probably number one.
Yeah, so that's not shocking. None of the news has been shocking, like earth-shattering, make you lose your faith in humanity kind of news, right? I will say, though, one of the things that I've always said that you never mess with is the IRS. The very close cousin of the IRS is the stock market.
Yeah.
And when you start messing with
SEC.
when you start messing with people's money, especially being a publicly traded company, like, it doesn't matter your stature. They're going to get you. I mean, I always go back to, because I still think it's one of the most fascinating things in American history, that renowned killer, mob leader Al Capone went to jail for no murder, no robberies. He went to jail for taxes from the IRS. And so it's like, that's why, again, you don't mess with government, and and essentially the stock market is the government, if we're going to be honest here, but like, you don't mess with corporation or government money.
You're right. None of it was shocking, because I expected this to happen when the first news broke of his cover up, that the Washington Journal reported, because I thought this is what sends CEOs away. Then when seeing McMahon's got all the voting power, he's got, he's coming out basically grabbing his balls and saying what are you going to do about it? And I was like, oh man, all right, well, Vince McMahon has protected himself from this kind of nonsense. But then when when it was money to the board and to the filings of the stock market and the taxes involved, then it was clear. Vince McMahon even had to fire himself at that point, right? Because everybody else would have probably walked out to avoid being implicated further, Well,
I think you were right at the time of your thought, was internally the WWE was not going to do anything to Vince McMahon, right? The lawyer for WWE is also the lawyer for Vince McMahon. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
But when the federal government, and like you mentioned, the SEC comes knocking on your door, that's then when you got to tuck your tail and go, hey, guess what? Everything's cool over here. Gotta go. Here's my bags. I'm out of here. It made sense then when the federal government was like, so what's going on over here? And then you got to go, wait a minute. I'm retiring. Oh, yeah. I'm so old. I gotta go.
So now it honestly does feel real, though. This doesn't feel like Vince McMahon's calling the shots from home without unbeknownst. You know what I mean? This feels like they were kind of actually get out of here. You think that's still going on?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Let's not forget the type of kissing Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon did on camera. Okay?
Yeah.
This isn't a platonic, I'm not alleging anything, but this isn't a traditional family relationship.
I gotta think Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon are cutthroat enough to know that Vince may have that impression, But what's he going to fucking do about it now? Like, he's actually out and, you know.
Now, what I mean? Over time, I could definitely see that, right? Mm-hmm. We get to WrestleMania 42. I'm just making up numbers here. I could see Stephanie wants to push Dominic Mysterio, and Vince is saying we still got to keep with Roman Reigns, right? Like, and then Stephanie can be like, no, what are you going to do? I run the company. I think Nick Khan is covering all bases legally and financially. That says, you're out of here, Vince. You're out of here. But Vince, again, because of the relationship he has with Stephanie McMahon, just look at the picture when they went to the UFC after Money in the Bank. It looked like Stephanie was married to Vince and Triple H was the brother. Like, they have a weird relationship.
Yeah.
Let's also not forget when 9/11 happened, Stephanie McMahon's first comments were, America's going to fight back, just like my dad fought the government when they came after him for the steroid trial. Like, she is brainwashed dumb. Like, she is not normal. She's not like us. And so, of course, Vince is going to call the shots.
We'll know here because, you know, suddenly Triple H is head of creative. Now, so we'll know, right? If I even understand, like, if Triple H legitimately, Vince isn't calling any shots, Triple H is legitimately head of creative, I would expect it to appear a little more like NXT, maybe not full-blown black and gold, but a little more, right? Than it's been. Okay. If it doesn't head that way in within a year, then I think you're right? Because I would get now that, like, hey, we've got booked through, right? Survivor Series or whatever. Like, they're going to play these things out, and these are the deck of cards he has, right? He's like, well, I have Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, right? So I've got to, like, do something with them. But
I think,
I don't know.
I think, so I got a lot of comments about this. First, when you had mentioned Triple H and then the idea of NXT black and gold, I think there's two thoughts that I have about that. One, Raw and SmackDown are different than NXT. They serve different masters than your hardcore NXT crowd, right? Absolutely. There's bigger sponsors. There's numbers that you have to reach.
Right.
So the show is going to be different, like you mentioned, because of the contracts that you're paying Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre. So, hey.
Even the advertisers.
Right. Yeah. And they're going to want
people
those
advertising
right?
on Fox is different than people advertising on USA, right? Like,
exactly.
Things like that.
Yes. So I don't necessarily think we're getting black and gold. My second thought about Triple H heading creative, and I do have a thought about Vince McMahon, so I do want to get back to that. But to close the loop on this Triple H thought, the other thought I have about Triple H running creative and everyone getting so excited is now we're going to find out. So during the black and gold era, a lot of people said, well, Triple H is running the ship, but it's all these indie stars. If you were to look at, NXT 2017, 2016. Well, that's just PWG. You guys were just not hip to it, right? You weren't watching Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole and the Young Bucks and Kevin Steen in a gymnasium in San Diego, right? So now we're going to find out. We're going to find out, was it Triple H saying, hey, let's invest in these great stories that I'm going to tell? Or was it Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Aleister Black, but now Malachi Black, that were the real
Johnny Gargano.
And they can make it themselves. Yeah. Well, no, Johnny Gargano, I think is going back to WWE. But like now we're going to find out because the Adam Coles, Malachi Blacks, and Keith Lees are over in AEW. So we're going to find out, was it the chicken or the egg, right? Like that's the thought there.
Real quick before you go on about Vince too. Have you ever heard in a major corporation like this of co-CEOs? That's what kind of made me feel like, I was like, this is made up.
Yeah, it's 1,000,000% made up. It's 1,000,000% made up. Again, I think Stephanie and
nobody does co-CEOs. You would just make two different titles that are like at the same level with the same amount of power, and you would just call one like chief executive and chief, you know what I mean? Executive officer blah, right? It would be chief executive officer of this and chief executive officer of this, right? Like,
yeah. I think the role for Nick Khan is to tie up the loose ends that Stephanie McMahon just doesn't know how to do. I'm not bashing her in any way, but WWE is the only thing she knows, right? We have not seen her go out on her own and run different companies.
She's there for branding. She's there for,
but she's not going to know, right? She's not going to know, hey, the federal government is looking into SEC filings. Can you get me the back 7 years of that? She's not going to know how to complete that task.
Right.
Nick Khan is, because Nick Khan ran CAA. He's been doing this stuff for 20 years, right? And then on the other side of the coin, Nick Khan isn't going to know what the branding of Finn Balor and the Judgment Day should be. So give that to someone else. Well, Stephanie McMahon does, because she's been doing this her whole life. Give that responsibility to her.
It just still feels like that's the COO. Like that's what he is.
But right. Now,
it feels like if they didn't give him a CEO title, he was going to bounce, because he's like, hey, if Vince is leaving now, it goes to Stephanie like, I'm never getting that. I want to be a CEO.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fucking be a CEO of the Big 12 or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is.
So the other thought, though, that I think people aren't talking about that I can easily see happening is, because I do. Again, I think Vince is still going to call the shots. Again, not day to day, but I think if he sees
He'll be at Sunday dinner. Well, maybe not Sunday.
Well, I think if he sees that Max Dupree is not working well with the maximum male models, well, we're going to put him out and put someone else in. I could see him saying, Stephanie, you need to put in X person and take him out. This is the thought that I have about that. I think Stephanie's going to stay true to her dad. Now, Triple H might not like that. And here's the story that I think could happen in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Divorce in WWE. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon have ended their relationship. Triple H is out of WWE because he doesn't hold any CEO title. See ya, kick bricks. Vince is still here. I'm still running shit. I still think that's a possibility. Now, Tim, I'm the most mad about this situation with the IWC.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to say. Tim, I want to read some things off to you. I want to see if anything comes to mind here. Yeah, I have some notes here. Just going to list off some movies.
9-year anniversary, and Tom's bringing notes.
So, Django Unchained. Good movie, right?
Never
Django
saw
Unchained?
it,
but you know what I'm talking about. But you know it. The Django,
but I know, and I know its relevance in pop culture and what it meant and what its storyline is. Yeah.
The King's Speech.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Inglorious Bastards. Scary Movie 4. Halloween from 2017.
Okay.
You know what all of these movies have in common?
No.
They come from the Weinstein Company.
Mm.
And those were all fantastic movies that a lot of people love. But you know what we didn't do collectively when Harvey Weinstein got kicked out of his own company? We didn't go, thank you, Harvey. Thank you, Harvey. Because he's a sexual predator that preyed on women and ruined their lives. You knuckle dragging inbred dum-dums.
Ruined their lives to the point of Ashley Mazzaro like killing herself.
Yes. And so for you dum-dums to clap your hands and say, but WrestleMania 20 was so near and dear to my heart. And do you remember when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant? You're an idiot. You are what's wrong with pro wrestling culture. You're the reason why we're not taken serious when we tell other people we're pro wrestling fans, because you idiots are so self-absorbed and can only think of, well, Vince gave me this. I don't really know those women. So
and let me reassure some folks I've seen that are so cocksure that are like, well, without Vince McMahon, we don't get any of this. Like, yes. Vince McMahon created WWE in the era that he did, and he took it to the heights that it is. He was the head of the company during that time. But to act like nobody else would have seen the ability to use pro wrestling for marketing purposes and television purposes is wrong. Others were trying to do it, and Vince was better at lawyering up and strong-arming them via contract law out of his way. Mm-hmm. Then you've got the people who are all like, yeah, well, pro-business, fuck them that way. And that's fine too. But like, to act like we wouldn't have had pro wrestling, we wouldn't have had iconic moments, is false. It would have happened. Would things have looked different? Might things have been, different? Of course. But it existed before him. It will exist after him.
Right.
I don't need to thank him for Hogan Andre, because I have Hogan and Andre to thank for that as well. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of what you're saying, like, if knowing what you said, Tom, right? Like, he's a sexual predator who preyed on women, ruined their lives, even drove some to the point of suicide.
Yep.
Is a strong thing to say. I understand there's multiple things that lead a person to that decision. But what he did was a contributing factor, right? Now, knowing that he's that and saying, well, but I still am proud about it, that just makes me then think, well, you don't consider what he did to be that bad. Yeah, not bad enough to make you forego going, man, really appreciate what you did, right? We've struggled with this thing with the Chris Benoit folks as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, and there's even ways to say it. There's even ways for me to go back and be like, I can watch a Chris Benoit match, appreciate what he did in there, talk about the artistry of it, but I'm not going to be like, shed a tear, let's make sure let's all moment of silence in glorifying Chris Benoit.
You can,
right?
To bring him into this fold, you could say one of Kurt Angle's greatest rivals was Chris Benoit. That is true. You can also say, I'm not going to celebrate Chris Benoit because what he did was horrific. And that is what I'm trying to kind of say about Vince McMahon. Obviously, he didn't kill anyone, but again, he did some very horrible things that ruined people's lives. So two things can be true. He can create amazing pro wrestling moments that will live on forever, and he can also be a vile, despicable human being. And that doesn't need to be celebrated. That can just be taken on face value that two things are true, and then you just go, what's next? Triple H is in charge? Let's see what that's like.
Yeah.
That's the part where I get so aggravated. And when you try to tell people, because we had an opportunity as a community to say, this happened, us as a wrestling community, we aren't going to really be all happy about it. And the outside world could have looked at it and goes, interesting. But for every stereotype that is thrown on the NASCAR community or that's thrown on the yoga community, right? Like all of these stereotypes of what you think those people are, they think about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And when you say like, we're not that, but then given the opportunity, you go with Stephanie McMahon to say, thank you, Vince, you're an idiot.
It just shows an unawareness or a disconcern. And I mean,
it's despicable. That's in my opinion.
Yeah.
Having known the information, because again, you could say the Chris Benoit tribute show, but at the time we didn't know the facts of what happened, right? In my opinion, that moment of Stephanie McMahon leading a chant for thank you, Vince, is the lowest moment in pro wrestling history. I cannot think of a more damning indictment of the pro wrestling community than that moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's because it doesn't even stop there. The man covered up murders, allegedly.
I'm just saying the stuff we know.
You know what I mean?
Like, is
but there's stuff we know. He is a despicable human being to others, all for his self-gain and profit. And honestly, anybody who, if we discuss it on that terms and you acknowledge and you go, yeah, but I still, then like, I just then no longer respect you.
Right.
And I gotta say, man, like, how did you get to be this way?
Right. Because
like,
again,
I can understand how Vince got there. His fucking life growing up was shit, was terrible.
And then he became then he surrounded himself with yes men, and then you become empowered by people just gassing you up every time.
He should have had a lot more therapy than money, but you know.
Yeah. And again, one thing that I will say as well is, you know, we've talked about this before because recently I've taken a liking to morality and philosophy, but like everyone has their different lines. But to me, there's certain lines where it's like, if you're not acknowledging that a sexual predator is a bad person, then I'm just not okay with you, right? There could be things that if Vince McMahon got caught, for example, tax evasion, some people are like, hey man, we shouldn't even be paying these stupid taxes. What the hell? I can kind of excuse that and be like, well, you shouldn't have done it, but I get it, right? You're trying to save another $2 million to do a bigger WrestleMania next year, right? But with this, I can't accept, like you said, I can't accept that you're okay with this type of person representing or being in the pro wrestling community.
Yeah.
It's insulting.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand the significance of Vince McMahon. It's not lost on me. This is 50 years where he's had a near stranglehold on the entirety of the pro wrestling industry. Like, that's not lost on me. I understand his influence and is unmatched, but I just don't want to thank him. You know
right, exactly.
I mean? Like, I don't want to thank him.
Yeah, again, and going back to the analogy I started off with, is you can like the movie Inglourious Bastards and not have to write a love letter on Twitter about how Harvey Weinstein gave us this miraculous film. It doesn't, you don't need it. And you don't need to thank Vince for WrestleMania moments. It's not, two things can be true and you can move on from the situation.
And that's a great point, because he is akin to a producer, right? Like, and let me tell you how, like, yes, the producer is responsible because they had the money and then they sat there and they put in their influence on the decisions, if they want, which he wants at all times. But it's not like Vince was like, I've got this idea for the bloodline and the Usos. Like, let me go find some characters to build it. Let me go find some. He did that a while ago, right? You know what I mean? 50 years ago. But now he's Harvey Weinstein, right? Like, now he's, tell me your idea. And then idea comes and he goes, hot damn. And everybody goes, that was an amazing Vince McMahon idea. And it's like, well, we don't know which were Vince McMahon ideas or ideas that floated up. Right. I just, I don't want to thank him. I'd rather talk about fun stuff in pro wrestling, like AEW Dynamite. I want to shout out Islam Pride on the Twitch followed us live as we're going along. So thanks for doing that. Feel free to chat with us as we go. Anybody watching on the YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Simulstream. It's a lot to say. I got to find out a better way to, wrap that up.
The socials.
So, the socials. But, people got to know where to find us, Tom.
That's true.
You got to know where to find us. But you can find us on Wednesday nights live tweeting on @TableShow, the AEW Dynamite, which that's thanks to you, Tom. You do a great job of that. You get some good response there. Use #TweetTheTable. I forgot to check #TweetTheTable. So let's go through Dynamite. As you start going through the card, I'll pull those up and find any that may apply so we can read those live here. AEW Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen. This is always great, right? You get the Fighter Fest. Boom, boom. This year we got a triple time. Boom, boom, boom with a Rampage. And then you get the Fighter Fest. Is it always after? I thought it was before. Am I mistaken? Is it Fighter Fest?
I am not good with dates. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason why I know SummerSlam is in the summer is because it's in the name. Like, I don't know really where these things fall. But yes, Fight for the Fallen was last night. Again, we're recording on a Thursday night. If you're joining us live, thank you so much. But we kicked off with the AEW interim world champion, Jon Moxley, taking on, I guess, Ring of Honor talent, because they don't really distinguish what the difference is, but we're going to say Ring of Honor talent because he won at the first ever Tony Khan owned ROH pay-per-view. But we had Roosh. So it was Jon Moxley taking on Roosh for the AEW interim world championship. Two contrasting styles, where I think this is where we need to start giving Jon Moxley a little bit more credit than he kind of gets. Because when we talk about best in the world, it's always Jay White, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles. And if you look at Jon Moxley's body of work between his matches in WWE with John Cena and AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, and then now outside of WWE, when he has really awesome banging matches with Nick Gage and this one with Roosh and then with Chris Jericho and things like that. Like, he, in my opinion, is one of the most versatile wrestlers in the world today. And I think he needs a little bit more credit than just being a big name who's a focal point of the company, right? Like, his in-ring work, even though we're not necessarily in-ring kind of guys, I think needs a little bit more respect. But nonetheless,
you're saying that
this was a fun match. Jon Moxley, correct.
Yes.
So what did you think of the match?
The match was cool too. I agree with you. I think Moxley's, we'll say in ring, but I'll say like in match performance, because there is a lot of these like outside the ring spots that's kind of like behind us and whatnot. But that's still, to me, your in ring performance, right? Yes. I do think at times it can get repetitive, but if you really, once you say that to yourself, you could probably view anybody in that eye, right? Everybody gets their shit in. So I try not to let that hinder me too much. I will say, for whatever reason, I feel like there is a bit of a change needed out of Moxley at this point. I feel like we've gotten the like hunched up shoulders. I'm so crazy. I'm ready to, like, if you just sneeze on me, I'm going to bust your nose, right? Like, I'm itching for a little more at this point, and maybe that's my ADD. But as far as this match, great, right? But again, there's not a whole lot of story here, but sometimes you got to bide time with the champion.
Well, and I think we did, because then as soon as this match is over, Jon Moxley wins with the Bulldog choke. As soon as he wins, he has the title over his shoulder. We hear the Jericho Appreciation Society and Chris Jericho's Judas, and he walks out. And it looks to me, and it looks to everyone who's probably watching this, that now we have a feud for the AEW Interim World Championship. Looks like it's going to be Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley running it back, because if you recall in 2020, Jon Moxley beat Chris Jericho for the championship. Now roles are reversed. Chris Jericho's going after Jon Moxley's championship. But I think we got a storyline here. Are you interested in Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley 2 for the AEW World Championship?
No. Because I feel like, again, with both of these characters, we've seen everything these two guys can do with both of these characters. So I just don't know what I'm going to see that's not going to feel like I've seen it already.
So the interesting part for me is that they already have a backstory going into this feud over the championship. Because if you think about it, this is just another extension of the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Jericho Appreciation Society, right?
Yeah.
It's just blood and guts, but now singles match, and it's for the AEW World Championship. So I like that there's more stakes attached to this feud, instead of just Jericho doesn't like Moxley and Moxley's going to say, Jericho, I'm going to kick your ass. Right now, we're actually fighting over something. So I think there's going to be a little bit more meat on the bone, as they say, for this feud. I'm interested to see what we see out of Jon Moxley against Chris Jericho. So he cut the feud where he's like, I don't want sports entertainment, Chris Jericho. I want Lionheart, Chris Jericho. Okay, cool. The match is in 2 weeks. So next week, I imagine we're going to get an advancement in the storyline. What will Jon Moxley do to further the story? Because when you're chasing the champion, it's easy, right? The heel can stomp you down and then you prevail and things like that. But when you're the baby face, what do you do to advance the story? Well, this is going to be interesting.
The wrinkle I like is Chris Jericho saying, I'm going to be the only two-time champion.
World
Moxley's
champion.
Like, no, I'm the two-time. And he's like, interim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, right? So it's almost kind of that Moxley's got to prove himself. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I mean? By beating who could be the two-time person, right? Yeah, because is Jon Moxley a two-time AEW world champion? Do
100%.
we consider the interim world title the same level as the world title?
100%. Yeah,
so to
because
me, I just don't understand why we call it the interim world title. Like, why wouldn't we just say, if you had to give it up due to injury, you get an automatic championship match upon your return?
Well, because then you could say he never lost it, things like that. So I understand it, because in the world of combat sports, if you are out due to an injury, you don't lose. Like, you can't be, because again, if we're in the kayfabe world, title matches have monetary value attached to them, right? So for example, to peek behind the curtain, when you're in the UFC and you're the UFC champion, when you fight on pay-per-view, you get pay-per-view points. So for every X thousand of pay-per-views that are sold, if you're the champion, you get a cut of that. When you're not the champion, go piss up a road, no one cares about you. So they want to keep their championship intact, so that when they do return, they're getting a portion of the money that they're generating. That's the real aspect. For pro wrestling, but I like that they're grabbing from it, because they're already grabbing the rankings and things like that. So it makes sense for AEW. But yeah, I do, because I just think, in my opinion, CM Punk's not the champ.
Right.
But
I agree. Yes. To me, Moxley is the first two-time champion, which I think is a good call, right? Fine.
Definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we're going to see in 2 weeks, Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship. So I'm excited about that. But as we continue this show, we get into AEW Dynamite, the implosion of Team Taz. So it kicks off with the FTW Championship match, Danhausen taking on Ricky Starks. First off, Danhausen's amazing. I love Danhausen. I love that he said, Richard, I'm fighting you for the cursing belt. because it's just hilarious. Those little details just always make me laugh. I would say, though, with Danhausen, a little bit more offense, right? Like, to me, if you're going to be an AEW, not to say like you need to be having 10-star classics, because again, the champion should be taking out the competitors if they're not on their level. But like, if you can't even last 3 minutes, then what the hell are you even doing in AEW?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I mean, even Santino could scrap.
Well, even Smart Mark Sterling here in a little bit that we'll see, he even had a little bit of a move set. So it's like Danhausen needs a little bit more offense for me, but I'll get over that. So it was a quick match. Ricky Starks wins with his spear, which looked awesome. One of the better spears I can remember.
We missed discussing the vignette that they showed before Ricky Starks'
which was
entrance.
so random. What was that? What was that vignette?
I loved it, though. I loved every bit of that.
Sense.
It was the funnest thing. Yes. I mean, I think this night was also, as we discussed, it was the implosion of Team Taz, but it was also the turn Ricky Starks face night. And so I think that just added into it because people are behind his conceit, if you will, his overdone conceit. And so they're just rolling with it at this point. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love all of it.
That video package was so random. I liked it, but it didn't really go anywhere, but it was fun. And then, Ricky Starks beats Danhausen.
Did you see there was a Stark Week sign in the crowd?
Yeah, because of course there is. You have to keep that.
Yes.
But then Ricky Starks gets on the mic. He goes, you know what? Still feeling good. And I'm not going to pull the rug under your feet. I actually am going to challenge another person for the FTW championship. So whoever it is, get your ass out here. And holy shit, Tim, like we kicked off the show, the biggest story in Spanish announce table history, Hook comes down to the ring and just wears Ricky Starks like a hat all over the ring. Just takes him here, takes him there. What you going to do? And then ends it with the red rum and gets Ricky Starks to tap out. Now, your FTW champion is Hook. And so before we get into the Ricky Starks stuff, what do you think as Hook of being the FTW champion?
Love it, right? Because this is, again, it's a title, but it's not, right? Like we can do what we want with this thing, right?
Yeah, and this is the title that fits the most with the Hook character. I know I'm the shit. I'm not going to play your games. I don't even need your title. Here's the title that says I'm the shit. So screw you. Like, this is the FTW champion. This is the embodiment. I mean, I know it's Taz's son, so it's a kind of hand in glove kind of fit, but like, this is who should be the FTW champion.
But it's so great. Yeah, exactly. Because that is his whole demeanor, right?
Yeah. It's I'm
in a different way than Taz. Taz had an FTW demeanor.
Yeah.
But in a different way than Hook, and it's great.
Yeah, Taz's demeanor in ECW was disgruntled. If you're not going to give it to me, I'll give it to myself. Right? Yeah, I'm going to do this my own. Here's my belt that shows I'm going to burn this place to the ground, right? Hook's is, you want me to do a battle royal? I'm not doing that shit. Do you know who I am?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fuck the world or it's fuck the world. Right? Exactly. Like it's two different, but it's great.
It's two different vibes, but it's the same thing, right? It's two different vibes, but it's the same thing. So now the title that his dad created is now being worn by the son. Hook is your FTW champion. And again, Ricky Starks had some cool moments afterwards, but I want to know right off the jump, what are you doing? Give me the story, the first story for Hook as FTW champion. What are you doing?
Man. I feel like Hook, so we need a heel who's not doing much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instantly comes to mind. I feel like the way AEW goes is like they throw a Matt Hardy at him, even though Matt Hardy was face last time we saw him.
Scorpio Sky.
Or a Scorpio Sky. I feel like there's a Dark Order story waiting to happen in there, right? Like where they're trying to almost, you know what I mean? Like, because you can still have this kind of comedy where Hook just is like, fucking be gone, right? Like, I ain't got time for this, right? So I feel like he could run through a couple scrubs. I feel like the Danhausen thing has to play around. Maybe Danhausen gets jealous.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where we get Danhausen a little more serious. Maybe he works harder on the curse and we get a curse that, right? that maybe works. Maybe this is where we can implement a little bit more, like find some sort of like chink in the armor that is Hook, right? Maybe Danhausen does find a curse that works, but it's a slight little problem that sticks with Hook.
He steals his chips. He steals his chips when he gets to the arena.
Ooh.
And then Hook's like, what the fuck? What?
Here's what he did.
My pre-match
He can't curse
meal?
Hook. It doesn't work, but he can curse the chips.
Ooh.
That Hook eats.
I don't know. Guys, potato chips. I'm telling you, guys, best chip in the country. So what I would do, because I was thinking about this,
Scorpio Sky's a great
Scorpio Sky's a good first one, right? But I think the story where we kind of dig into who Hook is, I think we do for first 4 or 5 matches, first title defenses is just filler, right? It is Scorpio Sky. It's
you could even get Ethan Page out of
Tony
it. You
Nese.
get both of them, right?
Yeah, you get Tony Nese. You get hell, even just do a face-face thing and have it Swerve Strickland because he's a tag champ, so he doesn't really need it, right? Something like that. But then when Ricky Starks, and we'll get to this in a second, when Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs finishes their thing, because post-match what we saw is Ricky Starks do the fist bump, Hook accepts the fist bump, and so acknowledges like, you're cool, and then leaves, right? And then again, Ricky Starks cuts this amazing babyface promo. Powerhouse Hobbs damn near decapitates him. So what I would
promo was great, right?
Promo was great, and the clothesline was great.
The clothesline,
like the whole
but the
thing
crowd was
awesome.
even into the promo when he's like, "It's my goddamn time right now," or whatever he said, right? Like, yeah, it was great.
It is. And so what I would do is, spoiler, I would have Powerhouse Hobbs go over in this, and then you move Ricky Starks over to something else. But then when Powerhouse Hobbs goes over, he goes, you know who also I have a problem with? Taz's son. And then it's Hook, Powerhouse Hobbs, with Taz going like, Powerhouse, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know, but I did teach Hook. And then you get Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs. Woo!
Or hear me out. Taz sides with Hobbs because no, that was my title, right? I know I didn't want you. You didn't ask me this. You don't, you know what I mean? You're not Team Taz. You left. You know what I mean? Like you went to go hang around with this dork, right? Danhausen. Right? And
I would like
you know
that.
I mean? And Hobbs, I think, you know what I mean? As far as improved as Hobbs has been, and 100%. As great as he is, and I like him a lot. Like, and he could prove me wrong as he goes out on his own. I think having a Taz would add an extra element to the character that would be helpful.
Definitely. And one thing that I did like of this match when it was kind of announced impromptu is Taz didn't pull any punches. The first thing that he says is, Ricky, you made a mistake. Yep. Like he was like, damn it, Ricky. But it wasn't as if it was like, well, now we're just going to kill Ricky. Ricky's a piece of shit. Taz, to his credit, kept his integrity and didn't flip-flop either way. He just was like, well, it's my boy and it's my friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my boy, but my friend's still my friend, right? He didn't like shit on him the entire time.
Yeah, he was like bewildered by Hobbs doing what he did. He was like, what'd you do? Like, why did you do this? Right.
And so now we see like Team Taz, in my opinion, is done. Because what is it now? So where do you put Taz in this? Do you keep him on commentary and just let everything smooth over? Or do you have him get involved with like some segments?
That's the thing,
what do you do?
Right. So yeah, I think he's on commentary to stay, right?
I hope so.
If getting him involved could potentially harm that, I don't think they'll do it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I think you could mix the both of them for a short period of time for a storyline. And I would go the route of Taz, you know what I mean? Maybe jealous of Hook, right? Like, hey, people didn't like me. You know what I mean? Like, people hated me. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
I was a powerhouse. You're not a powerhouse. You flip around. You got some moves. Everything I taught you, by the way. Right? And now you're walking around with my title like it's like you're me. Right? Yeah.
I like that.
That's where I would go.
I tell you what, this match was cool. Hook has some incredible counters with his flips in the midair.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's great.
That is so much fun. I like that. That was really cool. And Ricky Starks, to his credit, made him look like $1 million, sold for him at every turn he could. So I thought it was a cool moment all around. And then, yeah, as mentioned, Ricky Starks cuts the promo. Powerhouse Hobbs turns on him. One other thing I wanted to note is, did you see how crazy the crowd went when Hook won the championship? Deservingly so, but that crowd acted as if it was Hangman Page regaining the AEW World Championship. I mean, they were unglued when Hook won the FTW Championship. So credit to him. Now, another quick side quest here that I'm curious to get your opinion on. Now we kind of have two of the same characters. And what do we do? So we have now Hook, your FTW champion, which again, Hook isn't the same as this next character, but we got Hook with his belt and full steam ahead going, but we don't really know where. Then you got your TNT champion, Wardlow, full steam ahead. Let's go. But he doesn't really have direction. This is kind of where you're like, okay, well, cool. Then what are we going to do? A third person? Like then Swerve Strickland and he gets a title and goes full steam ahead.
Yeah,
like,
honestly, both those titles feel the exact same at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, yeah, they both exist, but they're on a similar storyline, right? Like here's somebody who's been unstoppable.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, different character, right?
Yeah.
They're not the same character, but the same story, right? Where
right.
No one can touch this guy. He's amazing. Okay, well, tell me something different. Now, speaking of titles, after this match, it was announced we're getting more titles. The Trios Championship will be crowned at All Out. What do you think about the Trios Championship? Are you a fan? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What's your opinion?
I don't hate the idea of a Trios Championship. I just don't know. We've kind of discussed, like, the tag team division felt like it got ran through for a while without a whole lot of now. We were just kind of like, what is the tag team division at this point? So now the Trios is like, okay, right? Now we're just going to add more people into the mix. Are we going to have established Trios teams? Is this always going to be a tag team and a guy or three random guys that we have nothing to do with? I get the point of more titles helps. And this is a way to make it feel like another division. So it's not just the FTW title and the TNA title, right? Or whatever. Yeah. TNT title. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. TNA title. Jeff Jarrett's back to reign. It just, hey, matches will be interesting, right? Matches are going to be a lot of back and forth and fun, and it'll fit AEW and some of their wrestler style as well. So as long as the stories told are good, then great, right? We'll have another title match on the card to discuss, and usually you can work around some storyline around a title if there's not much else. So probably fine with it, if I had to say. I'm probably fine with it.
I'm fine with it, but there needs to be some work done. So my fear is that this just becomes the de facto Death Triangle title, right? Where it's like, well, we don't know what to do. Give it to Death Triangle. And then they take on a makeshift 3-man tag team and then they get the titles. But then what do? We'll give it back to Death Triangle. Like, I don't want that to happen. The other thing that I think is important,
Young
especially
Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Well, we'll talk about the Young Bucks here in a second. The other thing, though, that I think they need to work on, and this isn't necessarily their fault, but if you're a casual viewer, now the water is even more muddy because you still see that there's this Ring of Honor television champion, and then there's these Ring of Honor tag team champions, and then there's this Ring of Honor. So, like, I think Ring of Honor needs to establish itself as its own entity. And then it will make the AEW viewer a little bit more clear as like, oh, okay, so that's this person, this is that person. And I understand, because when you got two tag champions, ROH and then AEW, like, well, who's better?
Titles, right? Don't they also?
Yeah, they have a trios title as well. So I think to help the trios belts, you need to get Ring of Honor separated out of AEW. And what I really mean by that is, like, distinctively, like I mentioned when we kicked this off, is Roosh an ROH wrestler? Is he an AEW wrestler? Why do they get to both just jump around? I need some contracts. So me,
I was fine with guys like Roosh and everything for a while because it felt like AEW was trying to be, they tried to live and die by this forbidden door kind of thing, right? And it was the biggest grand stage for the indies is kind of how that felt, right? Like we have this thing going on, but like we'll bring the biggest stars from the indies to come on here and show their stuff. Ring of Honor was included in that. Still is in my mind, but like if we had to pick who's 1 through 5 on the indies, it's Ring of Honor, and then every other company 6 through who, you know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever. So, and now that he owns it, being Tony Khan, now it's not necessarily an indie anymore to me, right? And so it's going to become its own third thing, and that's fine. It feels like an NXT to me to some extent, like because you can bet if somebody's taking Ring of Honor by storm and they're on Pop TV and they're going to wind up an AEW wrestler soon, right? Like that's how it's going to work, right?
And that's totally fine. I just need some distinction because if there's no distinction, well, if you're a tag team, why would you go after the ROH championships over the AEW championships? Like, why would you challenge those for those titles if AEW is the established brand? You know what I mean? So like, there's no clear motives if everything's the same, right? Kind of like what I said last week. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. If you have 2 championships, you have none, because what's the difference between Claudio as your ROH champion and Jon Moxley as your AEW world champion? Like, why fight both of them? You win.
By the way, ROH Death Before Dishonor happened between last
and that was fun. Yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, I was going through a ton of travel issues, so I didn't necessarily get to watch that, but I did catch some highlights. Looked like it was fun. Jonathan Gresham, you seem like you stink. Let's move on. Dante Martin took on Sammy. Well, hold on. Let's get to this first. Jungle Boys promo. No. Let's go chronological. I'm sorry. Dante Martin took on Sammy Guevara. What did you think of Dante Martin, Sammy Guevara? Which I had to block someone on a Twitter, Tim.
Saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Because some jackass tried to tell me to fuck off, and you ain't doing that. Dante Martin had Sky Blue in his corner, which if you're plugged in to the IWC, you know that they're dating in real life. It makes sense why he would have her, Sammy Guevara would have Tay Conti. But if you're a casual viewer, why are Sky Blue and Dante Martin friends? Why? We understand that from Ruby Soho and Eddie Kingston because we've been told it. You guys just showing up.
To me, it's better done. And I mean, like, I know the person who had to block, like, initially, I mean, had somewhat, you know, they were like, well, hey, he said, I'm bringing my friend too. But I'm like, well, if you're going to go through that time, then just have them backstage and be like, hey, listen, you want to help me with this? They'll be like, they did what to you? Be like, fuck yeah, I'm down. You know, I'm down. You know what I mean? Like, let's go fucking kick some ass. And you go, yeah. Because then it also makes Sky Blue look cool as opposed to just being like, here's my friend. It could have been anybody. And they're not going to say a fucking thing. Like,
that was my point is yes, he did say, I'm going to have my friend watch my back. But why are you friends? Do you play Dungeons and Dragons? Do you trampoline at night? Like, what the fuck is your connection? You know what I'm saying? So like, make it make sense.
Like rock
that's all I'm
climbing
saying.
Or some shit. Like, what do you?
Yeah, exactly. So again, that's where AEW has a blind spot. Just explain the details. That's all we need. Just some details. But it's not a hill I was going to die on when that guy got all butt hurt and go kick rocks.
Guy used a lot of caps.
Oh, because he's an idiot. Probably kissing his cousin right now. So what did you think of the match of Dante Martin versus Sammy Guevara?
Fine. It's not our style of wrestling, right? We've discussed this. It's just, it was a lot of, you know, I'm throwing you to the ropes and then I'm jumping over you and you're ducking down and I'm going to flip around and then I'm actually going to connect. And that's fine. It's very athletic. I get it. It's just, it's full of the things where I'm like, man, like, because a thing that I struggle with being a pro wrestling fan is anytime other people try to watch it that aren't pro wrestling fans, they're like, really? Like, he fucking,
why would
like,
he
why
wait?
did he do that? Right? Like, why did he stand? Why did he duck down? And you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and yes, you can say that about a lot of media, but it would be nice if I didn't have to fucking explain that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean? It would be nice if I didn't have to, right? There's a certain degree of like, okay, but like also, come on.
You can do all the flips. You can do all the flips and shit. You guys can go at a breakneck speed that nobody can. But it's those things. You don't have to do it involving I'm going to wait because you've got to climb up to the rope and I stood up too early. Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, either your timing's got to get way the fuck better at what you're attempting to do, because you're attempting to do it. I didn't go out there and tell you to do all these, but like, you can't stand up too fast, right? Like, I put that on you. You got to be watching out the corner of your eye for when the guy's actually getting up to the top rope, those kind of things. And that's on you, right? Like, exactly. Or, you know what I mean? Like, find a different way to make these spots. And I mean, look, easier said than done. I'm not the performer, but it just, this is why it turns me off if anybody wants any actual feedback on it.
There you go. So post-match, Tay Conti and then Anna Jay, who looks to have left the Dark Order, which is the saddest thing this week in pro wrestling. Anna Jay, 99, has left the Dark Order. Breaks my heart. But Anna Jay and Tay Conti beat up Sky Blue, which then brings out Ruby Soho. And in my opinion, the biggest missed opportunity of the week. Ruby Soho, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston run out. So you're going to have Eddie Kingston close out last week's show, sitting high, with Jericho trapped in barbed wire. And then this week, he's just going to run down. We don't hear from him. Nothing. We just don't want to follow up with the greatest pro wrestler in the history of pro wrestling, Eddie Kingston. He's the greatest.
Yeah, that felt like a throwaway segment. And yes, I mean, look, fine. I'm fine with Anna Jay leaving the Dark Order because, again, she wasn't like some pivotal part.
But she was what made Order, right? She was the hot girl with the nerds. Like, you need the hot girl with the nerds. Well, we're gonna get more passable.
More into that with the Dark Order as we come later. But yeah, I just kind of it's fallen flat on me. The whole Sammy Guevara, Tay Conti thing, the whole Jericho Appreciation Society having them as members thing is all falling a little flat for me.
I do like that Anna Jay turned heel, right? Like, I don't hate that there's a new wrinkle in Anna Jay's
I liked her
character.
promo. It felt like she was like, hey, bitch, look at me.
Yeah,
like,
I'll choke you
sexy.
out.
Like, I'm going to fucking, you know?
I'll choke all of you out of there. Okay, easy.
I love that even, like, I mean, she, like, didn't give a shit about her friend Tay Conti. She was, like, the fucking sexiest. You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of see Tay Conti was like, fuck.
Yeah. Shit, I am.
Right. Yeah. Like, what the
Who do you think you are? I am.
Right,
But, yeah, I was just sad because, again, for the Dark Order to be fun, lovable losers, they have to have something.
Yeah, we haven't tried to even tell that story in a while. I mean, we could get there again pretty easily,
I know,
with or without her.
It's sad. It's sad.
The problem is, I feel like at this point, if you're going to do anything with Anna Jay, the Dark Order would, unless you're going to focus in on the Dark Order and her aspect of being a part of it, it's going to hurt her more than it's going to help her. So it's time to kind of.
Yes, but I am excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited for a backstage promo where John Silver runs into Anna Jay and is like, huh?
That's the one dating in real life behind the curtain, Jungle Boy, right?
Jungle Boy's dating Anna Jay. Right. Yes. Yep. Which, speaking of Jungle Boy, let's move on to the next segment. Jungle Boy walks out with Luchasaurus, and he doesn't wait for nothing. He grabs that microphone and calls Christian a pussy.
Yeah.
Says, I get now why you need that money because your wife left.
Yes. I mean, well, he said because your wife left your bitch ass, and then he does the call me, right? Like, so great.
Jungle Boy out here.
Jungle Boy, yes. Well, and then he said like he had a short dick, and then he was like, well, what do you think happened to the wife? So great.
It was on fire.
Yeah,
I love this Jungle Boy.
I kind of, to me, I was chuckling the whole time. I was like, I know Christian fed him these lines, but this is fucking great, right? Like, this is good stuff.
So what'd you think of the promo? He did get interrupted by Christian, which we can get to, but what'd you think of Jungle Boy spitting these
I love it. I think it's helping build, again, Christian has elevated Jungle Boy to a level that he hasn't been before, and Jungle Boy didn't, when he stepped up to that plate for his first promo, fucking hit it out the park, right? Like,
yes,
great. Whether it was written by Christian or not or whatever, right? Like, he nailed the spot. Timing was good. It was all believable. This Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I'm still not buying the Luchasaurus. He's still in black.
That's the part. He's still in black. He's still dressed in his crazy mean gear.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's kind of like in theater. In theater, when a gun's on stage, it means someone's got to shoot it. Like, if you're still in your same gimmick, your same get up, you're still the same person, right? Like, Yeah, I don't know. But another thing I wanted your opinion on is, so again, AEW, we've talked ad nauseum of their just high school level of TV production. However, what did you think of the shot with Christian standing backstage, but then the TV next to him showing Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus? That was very interesting, didn't you think?
That was different than what we normally get, right? We normally get like the guys in the crowd watching the big screen while the person is thing. Yeah, that was interesting. That was different. I like Christian being like, when he said about, he was like, you know, you bitch about, you know, what I said about your dad dead, or he's like, but you all you can do is dig dirt and then you can lay in next to him or something, right? And he was like, God damn. Like, he was like, I'm going to kill you, man. Like,
yeah.
God. Oh, so good. Loved it.
So yeah, we're excited to see what happens next, but we go backstage after this and Brandon Cutler is informing the Young Bucks of the newly announced Trios Championship, which, hey, look, we understand pro wrestling can be a hectic place, but aren't you the executive vice presidents? Wouldn't you have to sign off on something like that or get the approval? I don't know. Anyhow, but Matt and Nick are talking about it. And then who do they run into? The birthday boy, Hangman Adam Page. And they have this moment where it's kind of like two exes wanting to get back together, but wanting the other person to make the first move. And before either one can make the first move, the dorks come in and ruin the moment. Dark Order comes up and they want to celebrate with their friend Hangman, and they're so happy. And then the Young Bucks, true to who they are, get kicked to the curb because they're nerds, and they have to then walk by. And Brandon Cutler's like, man, that sucked. And then the Young Bucks are gonna be like, hey, man, shut up.
Fuck off.
Yeah, we understand this feeling. It happened in high school all the time.
This segment was masterful. Everybody did an amazing part. All right, so we've got the Young Bucks coming up, and Brandon Cutler is doing the hit, and they're like, shut up, fucking turn it off, right? Which is not what they've wanted before, right? Like, they wanted to fucking turn the cameras on. Right now it's like, fuck off. They're depressed. We can see that. And he's like, hey, Trios Championship, like, I've been training. And they immediately like, nah, no fucking, no, you're not our friend. Like, turn the camera off, shut up. Like, almost laughing at him, right? And then the like literal bumping into Hangman, like they timed that where they're like, oh, what, hey, and then they are both like that longing bromance sexual tension, right? And they are just like, well, hey, oh, like happy birthday. And he's like, hey, yours tomorrow, right? Like he didn't fucking know, right? And they're like, yeah, you know, not a big deal, right? Like all of that, so great. And then the Dark Order coming in, right? Like the current cheesy husband or whatever it is, right? And they're like all over the place. And it was like, Jesus Christ. And then they're kind of like, oh, wait, hey, what the fuck's going on? We got a problem here, right? Like, and they're like, nah, man, just never mind, right? Like, fucking out of here. And then, yes, what you alluded to, like, Brandon Cutler's kind of like, well, that was awkward. And they're like, fuck off. But right when they start to do that, before Brandon Cutler says that, if you catch Hangman, gives them a look back. And then, the Dark Order draws his attention. Fucking amazing. Perfectly well done.
And then to follow up on this, it was announced that next week, the Super Elite are back. And so we get Adam Cole, Red Wagon, and the Young Bucks. What will become of this segment and that segment? Will Adam Cole bring up, like, who are you talking to? The cowboy? You want me to wear a cowboy hat? Like, what are you talking to him
so cute.
for?
It was like he can even call it out, right? Like, oh, it was like a fucking rom-com out here.
Exactly. I'm the better Adam as it is. You have the best Adam in this group. What do you need him for? Right. He could go back to doing that. So I'm interested in that. This is, again, AEW, to their credit, can tell amazing stories when the people that kind of called the shots are involved, right? The Young Bucks have great stories because they kind of call the shots. And so, like, I don't know if anyone else could have had the details and the long form storytelling that they do. But I'm interested in this. What happens next?
So what I'm most interested in is, because I feel like the writing's on the wall, right? Kind of what you said, right? We're going to get the Young Bucks and Adam Page right again, even if for a short period of time, and then maybe Kenny Omega steps in and there's another screw job or something, right? But we're going to get that right again. But what of the remaining dwindling Dark Order?
Oh, I know.
Aren't their feelings going to be hurt? Aren't their hearts going to be broken yet again, yet again, yet again, yet again? Try to be a good guy. Try to be a good friend. Try to be loving. And everybody breaks our hearts. What does the Dark Order do?
This is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. This is where I want, if I was to book it, obviously Evil Uno is the de facto genius of the group.
He was to begin. It was him leading, and then when Brody Lee was signed, they started this like the Exalted One.
Right.
But this started with Evil Uno being the one to lead this group.
Yes. And so he's the de facto kind of leader, right? And so what I would do is have him be like, okay, guys, we need to like confer here. We can do the right thing. Because again, they're still well-intentioned. And this is where I think you get 10 finally stepping out and going like, this is bullshit. I hate this. You guys have done nothing for my career. I'm out of here.
Not a fucking number. 10. I'm Preston Vance. God damn it.
Yeah. And I would have him be like, you're either with, run with it or run from it, motherfuckers. But I'm out here doing my thing. Like I would have him in that kind of a mode. And then we see where we can go. See what the audience reaction is. If they're like, yeah, okay, then let's have them join. And now 10 is leading. They can have another Civil War thing. 10 becomes a de facto leader. But if they're like, well, fuck that guy, then make him a heel. He can then run off on his own. But I think and here's the other fun thing, because of the tentacles in Ring of Honor and all of these talents that are kind of bumping into both promotions, I wouldn't hate, turn them heel, get the recruitment back going, right? But like the real recruitment, have John Silver and Reynolds going out and be like, okay, we're tired of this shit. We're getting real fucking people in this group. Anna Jay, she's a hoe. Fuck her. Like Colt Cabana, he's an old shit. Fuck him. And then like, we're going after the right people. And you have them going to Dante Martin, going to Lee Moriarty, like almost the polar opposite of Blackpool Combat Club, where Blackpool Combat Club is this elite group and you have to fight to get in.
Violent.
Yeah. Dark Order is like, no, we just want people that like want to scorch the earth. And like, I do, then you're in. Yeah. Come on, let's go. And then that, I would have them do that. Like, let's replenish the Dark Order if we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, down for that.
It. All right, then we get a 2-on-1 match back in the ring here. Swerve Strickland taking on Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. And this was fine. Again, Mark Sterling's fun. Yeah, I think everything he does is really fun. Great. Swerve Strickland. Look, there's a lot of cool guys in AEW. Hangman Adam Page, Eddie Kingston. But like the guy that I would be intimidated to just say hi to because he's so fucking cool is Swerve Strickland. Like he's just cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy in the room.
Yeah, like fuck, I feel intimidated.
Right.
Just, even when he does a little dance to his music, I'm like, you're cooler than me.
And Keith Lee is super cool guy too, but he feels like he's only the coolest guy that could hang out with Swerve Strickland in the room. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's how cool Swerve Strickland is.
Yeah. And so Swerve Strickland wins this match, but that's not the story here. The story is after Swerve Strickland gets the victory, he gets attacked. And he gets attacked by, I just wrote it down.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is.
Well, so backstage, Ring of Honor's Josh Woods attacks Keith Lee. But then where is it? I just wrote it down. Okay.
I mean, that's what happened. Josh Woods attacked Keith Lee, and then Tony Nese.
But who attacked?
Oh,
it was just Tony Nese.
Right.
I couldn't remember. I thought it was someone never. That's why I didn't write it down.
It was the other Creator Wrestlers. Creator Wrestler 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know who Josh Woods is.
I don't know.
But if this is going to be their first feud, I hope that the second one is going to be something.
We're going to do a trios, but the tag team titles are Swerve in Our Glory versus Tony Nese and guy I haven't heard of.
Right. Yeah. This could have been someone we're at least familiar with. Lee Moriarty, like someone a little bit more familiar than
this could have been Private Party.
Well, and that's the other thing where I'm talking about where I get confused. Ring of Honor's Josh Woods is going to team up with AEW's Tony Nese. but they're not going after the Ring of Honor championships. They're going to go after the AEW champion. Like, this is when it's just too much stuff. Like, I need some distinction. And I think this is a miss for another reason. There's other tag team. You know who would be perfect for Swerve and Our Glory's first title defense? Again, I don't know their fucking name because we were told it was stupid, but 2.0. I don't know again what their name is.
Matt Menard and Antonio something.
Yeah, but I don't know what their tag team name is. But like,
oh yeah, I don't think they have a tag team name, and that's a shame. God,
yeah,
more of those guys.
2.0, yeah, but 2.0 versus Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. I mean, come on, right? Like, that's the money, but we don't get it. So we'll see how this unfolds. Again, I hope this is filler to where then the next thing is the thing that we get excited about with Swerve and Keith Lee. After that, we get a pre-tape promo, which I know you were interested in. Malachi Black is trying to sell Miro on joining the House of Black. And then we get Brody King telling Darby Allin, this isn't over until I bury you. Just like the tattoo on your chest, you're dead. And they're going to do a coffin match. So tell me what your thoughts are on Malachi Black trying to recruit Miro and then Brody King and Darby Allin.
I like this House of Black Miro thing that we're doing, right? I love the ambiguity of it. I love that we don't quite know what's happening here. I don't think we're going to see like some lengthy thing where Miro is in the House of Black, right? Like, I think this is in Miro's odyssey, if you will, against God. This is a step in it. Like, a la when we got Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family, for like a
well, you know who I was thinking of? You know who I was thinking of? If they want to mirror it, again, don't do it step for step. But when Randy Orton was with the Wyatt family, remember Randy Orton was tag team champ. They were for a while. And Luke Harper was like, I don't trust that motherfucker. Like, do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a fun angle to go with Miro and the House of Black.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then the Brody King thing. I mean, again, like, yeah, we've been getting a little more substance out of this Brody King character. And I kind of like it's just a serial killer mentality, right? He's like, why am I doing this? Because I can, and it's not going to stop until you're dead. So look forward to that.
And the other thing I like about that is like Malachi Black is still your leader of the House of Black, obviously, but it's not as if Malachi Black is instructing Brody King to do these things. It feels that Brody King can stand on his own, which is a very refreshing thing in a group because, again, another pro wrestling trope is that one guy calls the shots, and like in Jericho, right? Jericho tells him, you go here, you go there, you go there. And in this, it feels like, hey, I'm the knowledge tree here. I'm the one who guides this ship. I am Malachi Black. But Brody King, I understand you don't like Darby Allin. Kill him. Go ahead.
Kill him.
Have fun.
Say you want to kill him. I'm not stopping you.
Yeah, go right ahead. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm interested in that. That's again another fun story that AEW is telling. So let's move on back into the ring. Right before the main event, Tim, I'm going to give you a guess of what happened.
The ladies.
It's the ladies. AEW Women's World Championship match. Thunder Rosa versus Miyu Yamashita. Nailed it. Yep. Miyu beat Thunder Rosa.
You?
Yeah, Miyu. Yeah, Miyu. Beat Thunder Rosa in Japan. So then that earned her a shot in America for the actual AEW World Championship. But Thunder Rosa gets the victory here. I will say, to their credit, this was hard hitting. This played to the strengths of what Thunder Rosa is as a champion and what kind of got her over when she was doing the Britt Baker stuff is like, she's going to fight you like her life depends on it. And I like that. More of that. I would honestly, as you mentioned with Powerhouse Hobbs, like Powerhouse Hobbs could do his own thing. Thunder Rosa could benefit from someone in her corner speaking on her behalf. Because when she does the, I forget the Spanish term, but when she calls herself the best,
yeah,
she says Mia Mia or Lara. I forget what it is. I don't speak that language. I apologize. But I think
we're the
she
Spanish
could be.
Table.
Well, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
That's great. 9 years.
Yeah. 9 years. We can't even remember from a couple days ago. Yesterday, what she said.
What she said.
It wasn't even 24 hours ago.
And it's on a T-shirt too. I know that. Oh my God. Anyhow.
Yeah, with Thunder Rosa,
But I mean, she has the look. She can cut a promo, but she has no direction.
I feel like AEW has done bad with this in that, like, I can only think of maybe Jericho did this well, Kenny Omega did this well, and Britt Baker did this well of being the champion and telling good stories.
Kenny Omega. Did you say Kenny Omega?
Yeah, Kenny Omega.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Kenny Omega, Jericho, and Britt Baker, I feel like are the ones that I remember the most as being the champion and telling stories with that title. FTR, maybe I could throw in there. Doing tag team title things now with the other tag team titles, right? Like, I don't, but that's kind of it. Yeah.
I just need some. They tried with Serena Deeb. I really felt like they tried, but they just took the wrong angle. It should have been, we're the two best technical wrestlers in this promotion. And again, I don't want to see beat the clock matches, but things like that.
But it should have been that. It should have been Thunder Rosa. You keep getting this, like, you like everybody loved you because they thought you were like the ass kicker, the one who can really lay boots to people, and the one who will get dirty. Be like, you haven't beat the final boss. You may be holding that gold, but that's me. You know what I mean? Like, it's me, and you're not gonna beat me. So let's do this. And then she does beat her, right?
Yeah. Now, I know next week we're going to do Thunderstorm versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. I do think some faction warfare that's worked so well for the men could help the women's division.
Yep.
And again, I know Jade Cargill is your TBS champion and she's undefeated. So it's kind of
she has a little faction. Get a baddie or two.
Faction.
Right? Get an extra baddie. Maybe you get Britt Baker having, I know, Rebel Not Reba or whatever is hurt, so maybe you get a couple lackeys for Britt Baker, those kind of things. Right? Get more than just two. Let's get some 3s and 4s.
I would, what I would do with the motivation or the story with Thunder Rosa, I would have her be the last. I'm going to say cowboy, but the last cowgirl, but like the last cowboy in the saloon, right? She stands up. She was playing cards. She slams them to the ground. In comes Britt Baker's faction. In comes Jade Cargill's faction. They're hitting her from side to side. She's, jumping over tables and all that. And as the dust settles, she's the one walking out of the bar with the championship. Like, that's how I would tell her story.
So she's got like a taco vlog. You have it at a taco place. They do all that. And as she's walking out, dusting herself off, she just takes a bite of that taco, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's the story. Like, all these factions are going for the number one, but they can't prevail because she's the last.
She's the number one.
She's the whatever she calls herself. God dang it! I can't believe I forgot what that's called. Anyhow, let's get to the main event. It was Danielson's comeback match, and probably the second most surprising thing of the week behind Hook becoming your FTW champion. Daniel Garcia beats Bryan Danielson.
Not shocking to me in that, like, I think we know who Bryan Danielson is, right? Like, it feels like Bryan Danielson would fight to do this, right? When we're peeking behind the curtain. But I honestly wouldn't have expected out of the Daniel Garcia character just yet. I mean, I know we've been telling that, like, ruthless shooter type. And yes, we've seen a little here and there, and I know people have sung the praises of Daniel Garcia, and man, maybe I'm starting to be a believer. At Devil Vamp on Twitter used hashtag tweet the table, which you can do as well on Twitter. Use hashtag tweet the table, and we'll read them right here. He said, Daniel Garcia looks like a creator wrestler that you didn't finish. Hashtag half a wrestler. Hashtag tweet the table.
Yeah. His presentation,
but it kind of fits, right? Remember when Stone Cold was like, I was in black boots, it was black trunks, like and they didn't have anything. Like, it kind of fits, like, his demeanor of like, I don't care what the fuck you have to say. I'm just going to rip your arm off of your socket, shove it down your throat. That guy would show up in, black trunks and fucking and nothing else.
Yeah.
Right?
But here's where, again, it doesn't make sense. He keeps calling himself the sports entertainer, right? Like that's where it's like, you don't make
He's in the wrong group.
Right.
When we added Sammy Guevara, we could have got rid of Daniel Garcia.
Exactly. 100%. I think, and again, I'm pulling from the greatest pro wrestler of all time. I think his presentation needs to be more Eddie Kingston like, where he comes out in a Tupac shirt, or he's coming out in a 98 Bulls championship t-shirt, because that's just happens to be what he's wearing.
Here's what I would do.
Okay.
So I would fix two birds with one stone. I would.
I didn't know you could do that.
Daniel Garcia is going to leave the Jericho Appreciation Society because now that he's beaten Bryan Danielson and William Regal realize, no, he should be in the Blackpool Combat Club, right? He's going to join the Blackpool Combat Club. And we're not going to kick out, not Wheeler Yuta, we're kicking out Jon Moxley. He's out here fucking fighting your Jerichos and your fucking title. Like, he's not, we're supposed to be teaching people how to be violent, and that's not what he's doing. No.
Pivot. Not Jon Moxley. Claudio. He's doing the swings. He's doing the uppercuts, which are kind of weak. And then you could have Garcia going after the Ring of Honor.
That makes a little more sense. Yeah, that's a more viable matchup. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
There you go. Because Claudio doesn't fit at all.
And Jericho can even brush that off because he's like, fucking, I'm dealing with Moxley and fucking one less person to fucking.
Right.
No, it would be a new person. That helps. Right? It would be another person on the side of the Blackpool Combat Club. We're keeping Moxley in, and we're getting rid of Claudio. He's like, yeah, fine, whatever, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you want to fucking run with them? You'll be a loser just like them.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, I'm the greatest of all time. Yep. Now, again, there was some shenanigans. The man that Charisma forgot, Jake Hager, was grabbing Bryan Danielson's foot. That caused the distraction. That then made Bryan Danielson pass out. He didn't tap out. He didn't get pinned. But yes, Daniel Garcia did get a victory over Bryan Danielson.
Technically a clean victory.
And that's how we end the show.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of AEW Dynamite this
interesting.
week?
I mean, I that image of Daniel Garcia, and he sells it well too, like that he was barely able to stand, but was still like, I'll kill the next motherfucker that comes in here too. You know, it was like, I honestly came away really impressed with Daniel Garcia, and I mean that's large, in part due to Bryan Danielson and his performance there as well. I liked this episode of Dynamite. There was a few lulls in the evening, but like most of it was good storytelling and is going somewhere.
I loved it because it felt like AEW, and what I meant by that, what I mean by that, is Ricky Starks. And again, I know these people have wrestled other places, but to me, on the national scale, he's an AEW guy, right? Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Daniel Garcia. We're getting like the originals. You know what I mean? Like the backstage segment with Hangman and the Young Bucks. Those are AEW originals. It felt like the reemergence of AEW originals. It wasn't just, and even Jon Moxley, you could say technically is an original, but it didn't feel like it's, well, here's the newest WWE guy that got fired. He's here.
Right.
Like it felt like we're investing in the people that we have. Here they are. Hook is another one, right? We're investing in the people who we have, and we're going to push them. We're not caring about New Japan. We don't care right now about Ring of Honor. It is about AEW and the people we have in-house right now. And that's what was my favorite part about this whole episode.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right.
We're going to get into the Spanish announce table tradition to do some SummerSlam picks.
And technical difficulties.
SummerSlam is this weekend. And we're going to
go
for the card. It is Saturday. Yeah, which is interesting.
Competing again with the UFC, which is dumb. Why would you split some of your audience? I know it's not all of it. I know, like, for example, you don't like MMA, so it's not splitting you, right? But I want to see Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes too. And I don't give a shit about WWE, but like if I did, you're splitting me.
Well,
so,
you're splitting, and it's always traditionally been WWE on Sundays, right? So like it's not a weird. It's like, we'll tell UFC to go to Sundays. Like, no, they've always gone on Saturday to avoid competing with you. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And there's one thing, for example, when day one was on Saturday because the first day of the year was a Saturday, you can excuse that.
Of course, sure.
But now you're just being a dick.
Right.
You're just being a dick. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
So anyhow.
Before we get into that, we do got one tweet the table from @KentuckyFriedComedian. Says, with Vince McMahon's scandal forcing him to retire, is WWE going to crumble under the weight of McMahon's ego and not grooming a successor? Magic 8 Ball says to check back later. Why couldn't Vince Russo take this hit for his former boss? Lame. #tweet the table.
No, it's not going to crumble.
I don't think so either.
I think what's going to crumble, again, if I'm shaking my Magic 8 Ball, and I'm just saying it because all the evidence points this way. Call me crazy. I don't care. I think in 3 years or less, we're going to see the divorce of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I think that's what's going to happen.
And on our 13-year anniversary, are we going to be suddenly like, oh, man, the biggest news in WWE since Vince McMahon's retirement is...
Yeah, Triple H starts his own promotion. Exactly. Because then Triple H is going to start his own thing. Shawn Michaels leaves. He goes with him because he has no allegiance to Stephanie. I don't know. That probably wouldn't happen. But then, let's have some fun.
Maybe they get hired to run ROH.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go. Tony Khan hires them to run ROH.
I'm telling you, that's what I think happens.
We'll
Stephanie still listens to Vince until the day he dies or she dies, because he'll live forever.
All right. We're going to make some SummerSlam predictions, right? And I've got WWE.com up. It is Thursday night, July 28th. So if anything happens on Smackdown, we didn't know about it. Peace off. Direct all your hate mail to somebody the fuck else, because we don't care. All right. Right here on WWE.com, the Mysterios, plural, versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day in a no disqualification match. You also wanted to bring up WWE Raw's celebration of Rey Mysterio. So let's talk about that as well.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's not 20 years of Mysterio. You know why? They fired him. They let him go. He wrestled in Lucha Underground. He was a part of the first all-in main event alongside the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks.
Doing all kinds of stuff.
He was everywhere.
For a number of years, multiple years.
Yes. And the only reason I believe that they signed him back is because AEW was interested in signing him full time. And they said, you can't have him. We want the mask sales. Come back, Ray. Right. And we'll promise to make your son a star. But here's the thing that I want to point out.
Exactly what happened, isn't it?
1,000,000%. But here's the thing that I want to point out. If you disagree with me, because you're wrong. I worked at a place for 4 years. 4 years. Then I left that company for a new job. Didn't work out. Didn't like it. So I went back to the company that I worked at for 4 years. And now when I check my HR dashboard and it says tenure, you know what it says? 2 months.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 4 years and 2 months. I've only been there now for 2 months. Things start over. So when you celebrate the 20 years of Rey Mysterio, make it make sense, you idiots. Yeah. This is the number of thing, like another example of why I
could hear you if you said, well, he wrestled here for 15 years, we fired him for 5, and then he came back for another 5. So that's 20 years of wrestling, or Rey Mysterio. But that's not what we're saying here. Like, I get we did this with Cena. I get we did it with Randy Orton. And those
Cena was there for 20 years.
Right. And so was Randy Orton. And you know what I mean? So I get all that. This here.
And I could even...
It would be like if they did 20 years of Brock Lesnar. It would be like,
UFC time,
Vikings,
Japan.
Right? Like,
what? The Vikings tried out for the NFL. And I could even excuse like a Shawn Michaels type of 20 years of whatever, right? Because there was an injury, but he was still showing up.
Right. Even Daniel Bryan, right?
Yeah, when he was doing, but now if he comes back, you better not tell me it's been 10 years or whatever, because he was in AEW.
Right. I even get when if it was like, if you didn't fire Ray and he did 15 years in WWE, but yet it was 5 years in WCW, you go, well, we own WCW 20 years a day. Like, I would get that, but that's not what's happening here either.
Nope, exactly. You're idiots. Dumb.
But this match, Mysterios versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day in a no disqualification match. I feel like the Mysterios could lose this, right? If we're trying to push this Judgment Day, but are we trying to push this Judgment Day?
Well, I think The big question is, does Edge come back? And if Edge comes back, what side is he on? Is he going to take out the Judgment Day because they took him out? Or is he going to see the light and say, no, Judgment Day was right. I wasn't vicious enough. That's what all these vignettes were. I was killing the demons of my past. And now I'm the devil or whatever. You know, God, that was a cool promo that I just did on the fly. Better than anything WWE is going to give you. I think the Mysterios win because Edge comes in and cleans house. And then Dominic gets a pinfall, and then now we're getting Edge versus Finn Balor.
We get a face spooky Edge.
Yep. Face spooky Edge.
Lame, but yeah, they want to sell face spooky Edge dolls, shirts,
fire.
Like Hot Topic.
They're literally just going to sell fire.
They'll sell fire. Purple
it's
fire.
Edge fire.
Purple fire. Yeah. All right. Because WWE purple is spooky. You know what I mean?
Oh, ooh.
Like Undertaker had purple.
I'm scared of your shirt.
Get purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
SpanishDownstable.net. All right.
Vince McMahon going to jail 2023.
Please. All right. Logan Paul versus The Miz. Now, quick shout. I mean, the Paul brothers. Like Logan Paul posted that on his thing. He's like, this is crazy. Like, we're on both sides of the Madison Square Garden bulletin board here right now.
That's
props
insane.
to them, right? Like,
yes,
yeah.
That is incredible. The heights of entertainment that they have achieved independent, right? Because it's not like you need Logan Paul to walk Jake Paul out for his boxing match. Jake Paul does it by himself,
right?
And vice versa. You don't need Jake Paul to walk out Logan Paul. Logan Paul's doing this by himself.
Yeah, and these guys started as like, you know, Twit or what a Vine YouTube, stars or whatever the fuck it was, right? Like, yeah,
it is pretty remarkable, the following and just careers that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, fuck them. Because I don't like them.
What the fuck didn't happen to us? Son of a bitch.
Did they start 9 years ago?
Do I need to grow that beard? Like, fuck.
Yeah. So I think Rockman beats Jake Paul next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my boxing prediction.
All right.
Got you on that one.
All right.
Put down $20 you never want to see again. You'll get a good return.
Hey, I put all my money on the Mega Millions. All right. Let's let's have priorities here.
And then with this match, it's force fed. I think Logan Paul is gonna get but I think Tommaso Ciampa does something silly that makes Miz mad because Miz does this with everyone. And then you're going to get Tommaso Ciampa Miz. And then we're going to try to figure out what we can do with Logan Paul as he moves on with Ricochet.
Who's the U.S. champion right now?
That guy.
Oh, it'll be Theory or Lashley, one of the two, right? Yeah. Easy.
There you go. Yeah. Logan Paul and Lashley. That would make total sense.
Yep. The Raw Women's Championship is on the line. Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. And I just don't care.
Well, side note, I saw a video on Twitter. What the hell is Becky Lynch wearing? She was wearing platforms. She was wrestling. And who is she? Chris Jericho? Like, what the fuck is she trying to do here?
I don't know what they did to this Becky Lynch thing. I know, like, she went the Seth Rollins route, like you said, right? Crazy outfits.
It's the same character.
Delusional character, right? But she lost that like every crowd, you know what I mean, momentum because of it. Like it's just not. Seth Rollins pulls it off better for one.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, and the other thing is Seth Rollins is losing, right? The last 3 matches he's had, he's lost to Cody Rhodes. So you can understand like the kind of weird craziness, like why isn't everyone listening to me? And I laugh because I'm going crazy. Okay. But like Becky Lynch, you're the number 1 contender and you fought to earn that right. And so it's like, what the fuck are you crazy about? Like, you're not champion, but you're also not losing.
I know we're not in the land of stories either, right?
No.
What I will say about the Becky Lynch is at least that is a character. Bianca Belair still, 4 or 5 years into this experiment, is still come out, swing the hair, I'm the EST, and how the fuck are you people watching not bored with this already? How the fuck are you not angry about how that is the same fucking thing said week over week over week over fucking monotonous week? I don't get it.
Tim.
Bianca Belair wins. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, no, because Becky won last year. That's when she came back. Remember? So AEW did the Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. So then they did the Becky Lynch, Brock Lesnar thing. Bianca wins. But I wanted to make a point. She can make 20 years of this, Tim. You know how I know? Because Rey Mysterio did it.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
What the fuck has his character been?
Nothing.
He lost an eye once, and then now it's back. Remember that? He lost an eye.
Lost an eye. Now it's back.
What a stupid. Oh, great. I can't wait for this new WWE. So excited. Okay. So yeah, I got Bianca.
All right. Happy Corbin versus Pat McAfee. And I think I'll like this one. Right?
It's interesting the story they're telling because they're breaking kayfabe, air quotes, because they're saying they played on the Colts together.
They were roommates.
Yeah. I like that. That has some substance, right? This is the most in-depth story I can think of.
Well, it's easy for crossover appeal, right? If they're going to appeal to NFL fans, they go, look, these guys were fucking on the Colts and they were actual roommates. Look, here's their fucking photo.
Yeah. And this has depth. I mean, we were just talking about Bianca and Becky. Oh, they just keep wrestling each other. That's the feud. But with this, it's like they lived together. They hated each other back then. Now they still hate each other at the new place of employment. They're going to fight out their differences. Okay, I get that. There's some people I work with that I want to fight. So I like it. I think, again, Pat McAfee has to win this, right? Corbin can lose 200 matches and never be affected.
Pat McAfee has to win this, unless it's like, we're going to carry this on. But usually you don't do that at SummerSlam, right? I mean, like...
Right. Or we have someone... Thinking,
so let's say Corbin does something so disastrous out of nowhere. Maybe he pulls a celebrity to help him, whatever. And then it's, oh my God, you'll have to tune into Raw to see what Pat McAfee has to say. And then they're hoping to hook those, you know what I mean, casual fans. So maybe, yes, I could see a situation where Happy Corbin either wins or stands tall at the end of the situation. But my money's on Pat McAfee wins the match. Yeah,
Pat McAfee wins, but then whoever the next feud is for Pat McAfee gets involved post-match, which, we're doing more TikToks, which, by the way, check us out on TikTok. And I've been watching more wrestling TikToks. I've been seeing this TikTok trend that people think Corey Graves is going to get involved with Pat McAfee, like it's a commentary beef, because apparently Corey Graves can now wrestle again. And so come back and fight Corey Graves for the gas bag of WWE award. Like, I don't know what they fight over, but I keep seeing that. So maybe that happens. But yeah, I got Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about Corey Graves back. Like, I mean, just not me to say, right? Like, obviously, right? Like, if it's something he wanted to do, he's going to do it. But like, I feel like he's found a home on the commentary table. You know what I mean? Like, like he had that in him, obviously, and he did it well. But like I would feel even more missing if he wasn't there. But one of the shining spots of it all.
Yeah, but if you're gonna go to Survivor Series and you're gonna do brand supremacy, you do the Raw commentator versus the SmackDown commentator. I mean, there it is.
You could get a bunch of weird teammates there too, right? Like people that are kind of like, what the commentary battle, right? And so he's like, well, I've got Funaki. Right? They're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
or you just get like pseudo celebrities to give their takes. So you get like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and all these commentators.
Yeah,
like, give their hot take on who they think's gonna win. That's what would be fun.
I hope some fun comes back to WWE.
So the rumor is that Triple H is wanting to make a creative splash for SummerSlam. And as you read your match card, I think I got what it's going to be. So we'll keep going.
Okay. Well, we get the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships on the line when the Usos take on the Street Profits with special guest referee Jeff Jarrett. And man, I feel like if they don't let the Street Profits win here, it's over for the tag team, right? Like
they're breaking them.
You've just shown that they've got a glass ceiling, right?
I think they're breaking.
Don't, man. I feel like they're quietly have become one of the top 5 tag teams around, the Street Profits. Like their chemistry together, their abilities in ring, their swagger, their whole presentation. It's way too soon to break them up right now.
Yep, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Well, I think conventional wisdom tells us that, but
Tim, did I lose you?
no, I don't think so. Uh-oh. We might have lost Tom for a second. Oh, maybe he's back. I'm going to keep talking.
Look at this. Technical
Tom
difficulties.
Keeps going.
As
yeah,
I
we got
said.
technical difficulties. He's frozen on my screen, but I'll keep talking. We hear you a little bit, Tom. Say some words, but as we go along, I mean, I think the Street Profits are top notch. I think conventional wisdom tells us that they're going to split them up right now. But maybe they don't, right? Because we got the Triple H in charge now, or so we're told. Maybe we'll get that. I don't know if Tom is back here. Oh, there he is, Tom.
It's technical difficulties.
It's technical difficulties. It's like
I
you're
told you
playing
we had
that
to
shit.
I told you we had to have it. So what was the last thing that
What I was saying is, yes, the conventional wisdom tells us this looks like if the Usos win, we get the Street Profits breaking up. But we're to believe somebody else is calling the shots now. And these are some NXT guys. So maybe not.
Well,
maybe not. I feel like this is some of the first tests we're going to get.
and this is where I think the crumbling in their marriage is going to start. Stephanie's going to be like, we have to break them up.
Dad said the Usos got to win everything.
Dad said that the Montez Ford jump sign.
Usos are scary.
Yeah.
Got it right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Montez Ford jump sign, guys. Don't we like that? That's what my dad liked. And Triple H is be like, what the fuck? And then here it goes.
Yeah. No tag teams. Fucking Triple H's like, no, we need tag teams.
No. But yeah, no, I got the Usos.
I'm going to say Street Profits. I think Jeff Jarrett's there. He's going to help
why?
stop some shenanigans. I don't know.
What the fuck? By the way, he's wrestling in a tag team match himself with, Jay Lethal taking on Andrade and Pacemaker Flair. Like, he has a pacemaker.
Ric Flair's final match. Ric Flair's final match. We're going to make a big to-do about Ric Flair's final match. And we're going to make it a tag team match. And...
well, but it's his son-in-law.
It's good. Yeah, right. So that, I'm like, okay, son-in-law, fine. But then it's Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal I even get, right? Because we had the woo-off and we had him doing the thing. Like, okay, fine. But, I mean, Jeff Jarrett, I get there's some, right? We've had the history with him doing the, the Flair impersonation, but like,
well,
right?
And now, have you been seeing any of these videos they've been
they're
making?
so, like,
they're awesome. I love them. They're so stupid.
It feels like when somebody wants to make a video, like if I was like, I can't believe you watch pro wrestling. It's stupid. It's fucking full of bullshit. And you go, no, it's not. And you'd be like, yes, it is. Here's what pro wrestling is. I would make that.
Yeah. Well, Ric Flair's like, I never liked your fucking dad.
Yeah. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
and then
they're bloodying him up and they're like just fucking calling him out in press conferences and shit. It's like, oh.
Karen Angle is getting involved, like slapping him around. It's what in the hell? And then like now you get Ric Flair doing these like half-ass squats that he calls Hindu squats, which isn't a thing. And he's doing these things, and then he's like, Jeff Jarrett, you pussy. What the hell is any of this?
Yeah, we're hearing stories that Charlotte Flair said that he asked if he could do a top rope dive, and she's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but I will say it's a more in-depth story than anything we got on WWE.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, credit
to him.
I mean, I want to see a train crash sometimes, so maybe I'm going to see this.
But he has a pacemaker. Stop.
I saw a meme that said, when Ric Flair takes the guitar shot and wakes up wrestling Chris Benoit. It's like, oh, god damn. Oh, man. All right, so you say Usos, I say Street Profits. We'll move on. United States Champion Bobby Lashley versus Theory, which, by the way, the first time Vince McMahon is gone and the whole first hour is let's kick Theory in the dick, right? I mean,
Your dad's not here.
Wrong there? Jesus. Everybody got their shit in on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
But I think he
loses.
You think he loses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, he's got that stupid ass Money in the Bank, so he doesn't need to win.
And he doesn't need it, right? Bobby Lashley is a guy
trope
who's helped with a prop, if we're being honest. Still. I mean, he's well improved, but he still is helped with a prop.
But that's a tried and true method. The Money in the Bank winner doesn't need to win, so just have him lose until he cashes in and then wins the championship. Ho, 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 ho. You didn't see it coming.
It just even fits better though, the Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? Like it to help somebody get over who feels like they couldn't beat somebody otherwise. The Money in the Bank is the perfect tool. So it almost like if you have that character, when he has the Money in the Bank, you almost have to do that thing where he goes away and you forget he exists for a while. Or you forget that he has the Money in the Bank, right? You have Theory going around doing his own thing, but if he just wasn't carrying that thing around reminding you all the time, when he sprung it somewhere, it's like, oh shit. The first Edge one was kind of that way, right? Like we were kind of like, oh fuck, I forgot that was a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I got Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, all right. The SmackDown Women's Championship is on the line, and Liv Morgan takes on Ronda Rousey. I think Liv Morgan wins. I don't think we ever lose it right away, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I say Liv Morgan.
Is this a John Cena turns heel kind of moment for me? I think it is. I'm going Ronda Rousey turns heel. She does something underhanded and wins the title. And now we've got babyface Liv running after heel Ronda Rousey. This is where it happens. Because fuck Ronda. No one likes her.
So
no one likes Ronda Rousey.
Thunder. And for the 9-year anniversary, I was going to throw my dark horse event pick for SummerSlam. It was going to be John Cena turns heel.
I love that. That was
John
so
Cena
great.
turns heel.
John Cena's turning heel in this one.
That was like my first big prediction of the Spanish
I
National.
know.
I was like, John Cena's going to turn heel. It's the
And we're
fuck, he's
still
going to turn
doing
heel.
big
He was going to lead
predictions.
the
I think
Nexus or
Triple H-
something.
Yeah. And we're still doing big predictions. I've got.
But maybe we get it. Triple H is
running.
running things down. Maybe John Cena shows up and turns heel in the main event.
Maybe, but no, I got Ronda turns heel and wins the championship, and then we do babyface runs after heel champion Ronda.
At this point, I just kind of hope Liv Morgan wins, just because I'm like, this Ronda Rousey experiment feels super failed, and I just don't like.
Oh
it.
yeah, I told you that. I'm go back to
I know.
Check the tapes, bud.
I know.
I
know.
He's horrible.
We're live, hell. I know.
Now, if she goes heel, I think there's a little bit more substance and fun that we can have because she's
absolutely.
a miserable person. So there we go.
Yeah, her whole demeanor reads heel, so it might as well be. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, the final match on this card here, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match. All WWE conventional wisdom tells us Roman Reigns wins this match.
No, Roman's gonna lose. I got Brock.
Why?
I got Brock.
Okay, just
Because I
because
don't
Brock
think-
fucking Suplex City.
Yeah, I think Brock just and he wins it. And oh my god! And
Even
then
though
Roman
the Usos
Reigns,
tried to do the
yep, and then
testicle
they have
punch and the
Roman Reigns has this crisis of conscience as he doesn't know what the fuck is happening. Oh my
does
god!
the whole
And then-
bloodline then? Do you amend your Usos?
No.
That would even be better if the Usos still won and he lost.
That's what I'm
They'd
saying.
be like, I mean, geez, but you can't even talk shit on
Exactly.
us, bro. Yeah, like
That's what I
can't
think
blame us
happens.
this time.
Is the first thing you see on SmackDown is a backstage segment with Roman Reigns sitting there with no belt around him, and the Usos be like, "Hey man, it's good, Us," and they have both of their championships, and like, "It's good, man, we're good." And he's like, "We're not fucking good." And then we get the crazy Roman.
You think you're fucking better than me? And
Exactly.
they're like, no. And he's like, you fucking think you're better than me. Like, we didn't say that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you look at him? Right?
Yeah.
Fucking,
Exactly.
Yes.
That's why I think.
Yeah.
And then eventually Roman will get it back.
It's a
But
way better
this
story.
isn't the last time.
Way better story. Way better story if that happens
Mm-hmm.
than what I think's going to happen. Now, we could get, it looks like Brock Lesnar's going to win. And John Cena shows up and turns heel and gives him the Kansas City cunt punt. Roman Reigns wins.
You're off by this
And
much.
then we
You're
get
close.
Lesnar Cena.
You're off by this much.
Okay.
You're close. Well, because Austin Theory could come in and cash in the Money in the Bank, and then he becomes champ, right?
Mhm.
They could do that.
Yep.
So I think Brock Lesnar wins because Brock Lesnar eventually has to win one of these, right? He can't lose every single time. You know what I'm saying? So that's my logic. That's my whole reasoning behind it is eventually Brock Lesnar has to beat Roman because then it's just like you lose every time to Roman. What the fuck, pussy? You know? But there's one more match that you forgot about. Now he got canceled. But Seth Rollins was going to take on Matt Riddle at SummerSlam. But as you recall, the ending of Raw, Seth Rollins stomped Matt Riddle's head into oblivion. They canceled the match. Seth Rollins is going to come out and he's going to be like, this is bullshit. I've worked 9 months and I'm he's going
to mention something about McMahon, make the crowd ooh and ah.
Right? Because even on Twitter, Triple H is like, I hear you, right?
Which is all fabricated. Yeah,
exactly. And then you're going to get Seth Rollins, I demand a match. You're close. It could be, and it would be cool if it was John Cena. And then he goes and beats Seth Rollins. But I think we're getting the imposter John Cena to pull a John Cena move. And Cody comes out and is like, we're not done. And Cody comes out. He's walking around with no sling. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. So I think Seth Rollins walks out, and then wrestling has more than one family. And that's not going to be a big thing.
We're building that rivalry, right? Like that.
Yep, exactly. And just hitting that well one more time. Now, this is where we could have even more fun. Triple H can be like, what family talking about, bitch? That's my family. And then he gets involved.
The story there.
Right.
With the Triple H in power now and Cody, I mean, he broke the throne, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, the throne I now sit atop? Is that what you're...
And now, because again, Cody in every interview says Triple H is his favorite wrestler, all of that stuff. If you recall from the ladder match, they were playing into the shovel, right? The shovel.
Yeah.
They're playing all sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer.
They're playing into the sledgehammer. The next chapter of the Cody Seth Rollins story is Triple H. They already got through Dusty Rhodes, so now it's Triple H, and that's what happens here. Calling it.
In the YouTube chat, we've got, I don't know if this is Nick Thestick or Nick the Stick. I'm going to go with Nick the Stick. He says, I'm going to Smackdown tomorrow. Will Smackdown be good tomorrow?
No.
I mean, have you thought it was good anytime recently? If you've thought it was good anytime recently, it will probably be good.
Nick, thank you so much for the comment.
Yeah.
We appreciate you watching. We're going to be flat out honest with you. Yeah, WWE's kind of not good.
Yeah,
so
we're hoping that there is a new era coming and Triple H is actually in charge and we do get some changes and we get some more fun back. We are hoping. So I'll be watching. I've been tuning in more, and I understand that like it's not a light switch moment, right? Like we're not gonna get suddenly all of a sudden this is Attitude Era, right? Like there will have to be a transition time frame. I'm hoping to see positive things. Not everything is bad. This Roman Reigns does a good job at what he does. I feel like they've drawn on the Roman Reigns run a little too long and those kind of things. Yep. I like the Street Profits Usos thing. I too think it's gone on a little too long and drawn on, but I think there's good moments and there can be better. And I'm sure going to these things live can be fun, albeit one of the reasons you and I stopped going to these things live for a while was because it starts to feel boring. You get a little, you're standing there like, oh man, we're another commercial and we're, like checking our
that's
phones.
The thing, all these hot takes of what Triple H is going to do. Now, Finn Balor and Nakamura are going to be your champions in 2 months and all this stuff, right? All that stuff. Again, he serves different masters than when he was in NXT. Right. My thing that I hope he can do on day one, I didn't watch Raw, so I don't know if it was changed, but if SmackDown, Nick, if you're at SmackDown tomorrow, the number one thing that I think he can do that would make the show 30 times better is the pacing. If we have wrestler A walks to the ring, commercial, he's standing in the dark, he's not looking at everyone. In the crowd, we're doing the woo challenge where give us your best Ric Flair woo. Then we come back from commercial, but instead of going to the match, we go back to a backstage promo of something unrelated. Then we get a segment of what happened 2 weeks ago to Brock Lesnar. Then we get a promo for the next pay-per-view. And then we get back to the match. And then the person walks out. Like that shit sucks. If he can fix that.
Here's another thing.
There you go.
That again, this takes time and this isn't something I would expect to change overnight. But if we can stop getting the jerky cam.
Oh, Kevin Dunn, you're fucked, pal.
right? Can we stop getting
You're done.
this fucking thing? Right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
fucking back and forth and the transition. And over here. And the fucking. Fuck! That's so bad. It's nauseating trying to watch it sometimes. Nick the Stick here says agreed. I don't. Sorry, we're about on a 10 to 15 second delay, but I'm sure everything Tom said was 100% right, so that makes sense that you would agree with him. But yeah, I just, if we could lose some of those things, right? Like the pacing of being there live sucks. The watching the matches live kind of sucks because of the jerk cam.
Tim.
Yeah.
I never even considered that. So Kevin Dunn, most likely. The writing's
Did you not
on
see
the
the meme of they were like, there's a whole bunch of people on WWE television watching a TV straight on. The Triple H era has arrived. It was like they weren't angled watching the fucking, you know? There's little things.
Here's my question, and I don't know, so I can't really give you a name, but who takes over? Because as you see from AEW, it's not like anyone can just sit in that chair and then things are good, because AEW consistently misses things.
As much as we don't like some choices made by Kevin Dunn, they hit the spots they're supposed to. Right, yeah. They know what they're doing. Like, they are a well-oiled machine in that regard. And Kevin Dunn is no longer
That's the most interesting part for me, because that would affect me, right? We don't know the creative decisions. We never really have, in my opinion, because dirt sheet writers are just gossipers talking to mid-carders who have a beef with someone. They're stupid. But if Kevin Dunn, who, again, I think is out of here, the visual presentation of WWE, again, we can work on that stuff, but are they going to get all the shots? Because like I said, go over to AEW, they miss a ton. So should be interesting.
Yep. Yeah. Man, I've had a blast here, right? 9 years of the Spanish announce table. We've got old friends. We've got new friends like Nick the Stick. I'm making that command decision.
Yeah, Nick the Stick. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's Nick the Stick. I'm looking at it.
Nick the Stick. Welcome. I don't know if you've been around before or not, but we appreciate you guys. We do this live every Thursday. We like to talk with you while we do it, so chat with us live. You can also reach us throughout the week on Twitter at Table Show and use hashtag Tweet the Table. And you can read that. We'll read them live here. And just make some new friends, right? We like wrestling friends. We want some wrestling friends. So we can do this for 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah. 9 years of Spanish announce table. And let's hope that Vince McMahon gets 9 years in prison.
The Spanish